in the last year, as ChatGPT and Microsoft started making these announcements around AI, I really felt like I had to go back to school, and I was like, I'm way, way, way behind, and spent a lot of last year really studying, talking to really smart people about it, trying to figure out how it was going to impact me as a community builder. And that sort of led down to meeting Karuana last year, and Kobie and I talk all the time, but he started to kind of go into the deep, dark spaces of AI from really starting from scratch. So I'm so excited to talk to both of you and have you here, both, again, returning to the CMX stage. So thanks for being here. Let's start first. Karuana, what is exciting to you about AI? What's the future that you see that AI is creating?
It's a great question. Well, the most important thing that's exciting to me right now is being here. This is a fantastic event. Thank you for having. I hope everyone's having a great time this morning. AI presents so many opportunities for transformation in our individual careers, but also in our businesses. And I feel like we just have to look at it through a lens of possibility, right? I think that there's concerns, and some of them are valid, but I am really excited about what's coming next and how it can create opportunity for so many people around the world to skill up and understand this and implement it in ways that matter to them.
Yeah, for me, honestly, since we started seeing LLMs be widely accessible at a level and just degree of just power and sophistication that fundamentally has changed the way we as humans can work, access knowledge, interact with one another. My full-time job, I'm an investor, and so being able to invest in startups that are leveraging that technology to hopefully make the world a better place, which I feel for the most part that will be what happens, is honestly amazing. Like my brain has been going a mile a minute since we started seeing some of this basic technology come to pass. And I truly feel that for those that embrace what we're all now going into, it has the ability to make us both superhuman and also more deeply connected as humans with each other. And that to me is what's incredibly exciting.
Maybe Kobie, you could share like how you weren't doing a lot of AI investments or sort of, I don't think you were super involved in the AI community until the last couple of years. Where did you start? How did you start to learn? What was your sort of process of sort of getting up to speed to in a sort of short period of time?
Yeah, so like many people, ChatGPT came on the market, and I was like, oh, let me go in there and start playing around with it and ask stupid questions like, oh, make this cool little rap song. Like, oh, it did that. Like, what? Okay, what am I gonna do with that? And then I
shared it with me, so
I did,
that was
and
pretty
then
cool.
maybe I rapped it. No, I did not do that. And so from there, I started thinking about, okay, well, how can I start getting weird with this? And then I asked like ChatGPT, like, all right, I want you to like simulate like 15 random human beings and create personas around them, and then I'm going to actually ask you to ask them questions like there are a user panel to give me feedback on some random topic that I'm interested in. And I did that, and I'm like, oh, it actually like works. It created these synthetic entities I can talk to. Then I asked it to do like, make me 100, and then they were like, and then ChatGPT is like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, what the hell? What do you mean you don't want to do that? I told you to do that. And it said, like, I don't want to do that. And so I'm like, okay, this thing's kind of weird. And so that was within the kind of confines of ChatGPT. And then, honestly, I blame you for having me go deep down the rabbit hole in a way that's absolutely scary. Because about a year ago this time, Derek's like, oh, we're going to do this, like, AI hackathon for Bevy. Like, can you judge something? And I was like, judge, I want to kind of go in and build something. And then I forced myself to learn how to, at this point, I didn't know what it was, but I pretty much was doing a combination of prompt engineering and something called RAG. If you're not familiar with RAG, I highly encourage you to learn what this is, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, which is being able to take knowledge from external sources and then in conjunction with an LLM, could be GPT-4, Claude, wherever it may be able to create outputs and experiences that are, fundamentally, in my opinion, groundbreaking in terms of how we can actually interact with knowledge in a way never before possible. And as I started pulling on this thread, I just started building firsthand, and then honestly, the rest is history in terms of the even really weird stuff I've done since then.
Karuana, you've been involved in it maybe a lot longer than we have. What has changed in how you've leveled up your skills and maybe how you got into it.
Yeah, they asked me at Microsoft to work on this little thing called Copilot about 15 months ago, and I'm like, sure, what's that? Right? And so went down that same kind of rabbit hole and understanding our partnership. Microsoft has a partnership with OpenAI, and we've really taken that technology and integrated into so many of the products that people use every day. And so I love the technology and I understand it, and because of my job, I need to go pretty deep on it. But my real focus of my team is the people. My team does user enablement. We run the communities for Microsoft 365 and now Copilot, and I do all the emerging services at Microsoft. And so my focus has been, okay, what is the real user journey to understanding? We call it the aha moment, when people really get, oh, this is what this thing can do for me. So my real focus is, how do I take people globally to have that aha moment with the technology? And then that's when the real learning begins, right? And that's when my learning began, when I was able to use Copilot in my daily life and find all the emails from my boss and summarize all the meetings I couldn't attend and make sure that I had my project plan already created and give me sentiment from my community in a natural language interface. I was like, oh, I get it. This is why this matters. It's not just some, whiz-bang widget that, folks with a PhD or folks who are really deep in the tech understand. This has practical application in everyone's daily lives.
Yeah.
That's what makes me excited about technology, is when I can really connect it to the lives of people and know that I can make it better.
Yeah, I think for me, AI helps me be more creative.
Yes.
It saves me time. It helps me. It's sort of like, and Kobie's called it a superpower, but it's sort of like, it helps me do a lot of things I want to do, but I just can't or didn't have time to.
Yes.
I mostly can't just because of my inabilities, but it's just sort of supercharged. Like this, it's in here. Let me get it out here, and I sort of, in some ways, compare it to like, as I watch my kids, like, if they're like, hey, what's the weather gonna be like today before school? And I'm like, oh, I got you. And I start to pull out my phone, and then my 6-year-old, is like, Alexa, what's the weather gonna be like today? And like, by the time I'm like fumbling through the password, like they've already gotten the answer, and they're sort of, it seems like, as an old community builder of 15 years, like I'm sort of having to reprogram how I think, and it really is like a constant, it's like a rewiring. Like I have to constantly force myself to like, oh, like I don't need to write this copy, like ChatGPT can give me 10 options that are so much better than anything I've come up with, and we've tested this. We've A/B tested these on the website and other things, and it's like it almost always wins. And it comes here, but it starts from I think the sort of human side, and then just leveraging it to help us work smarter and harder.
Yeah, expansion and amplification of your skills, that time. I mean, imagine how it was when we had to think about the cloud. And now we don't think about the cloud at all anymore, right? And folks coming up in this cloud era, they're like on-prem, you store a file on your machine. What are you doing, right? Like, this is how we have to be ready for how AI is going to change things.
Yeah. How has it changed the way you all work? Maybe Kobie on the, I don't know. How does your day-to-day change?
Yeah, so again, I kind of got weird with some of this stuff. So I continued to employ down the rabbit hole, and I now have someone actually referred to this thing that I've started creating for myself, essentially a hive brain, which essentially I've created these like micro brains that are created from different sources that I trust for knowledge. Some sources could be, for instance, believe it or not, my partner Mark Suster, who's very, very smart, has a blog in and around basics of venture capital and the whole kind of LP community and all that. And I created a brain that's pulled from Peter Diamandis, a futurist that thinks in this whole notion of like boldness and abundant thinking. And then I created a brain that's like the best bartender ever. So when I'm trying to figure out how to make a drink on Friday afternoon because I'm stressed out about AI, I can like, what should I drink? And so what I've done is basically through this kind of technique like RAG, I've created these different sort of like micro entities that I can talk to, and that can talk to me in the way that I actually want them to. And so if I'm if I'm trying to figure out we have a big summit every year, what questions to ask institutional investors, because I'm moderating a panel and I don't think all day long about what I should talk to about institutional investors about. I go to Mark Suster's brain and say, I need 20 questions to moderate this panel, give it to me. And then ChatGPT can't do that. But I created it and I actually prompted against a knowledge base that is very intelligent around a piece of information that I want to access. Same with regards to bartending advice. I even did this for the Bible. So if I'm trying to actually better understand, because my two boys asked me on one Friday evening, like, what does heaven look like? I can just ask the Bible, like, where in the Bible does it reference what heaven looks like? And it gives me 5 passages like that. I can't do that very effectively on ChatGPT because it lacks context and it's not actually narrowed in on a discrete body of knowledge. And so I have about over like 20 or 30 different sort of like micro sort of like repositories like this that I have access to via a website that I created. Partially it's public, partially it's private based on things that also are tuned for me. And I also wired it up to SMS so I could actually text some of these entities as well. So yeah, I got weird with it.
No, it's not weird. I don't think that's weird at all. I just think that you're ahead, you're deep in the tech tools, and so you're able to do that. But you know, in my world, we very much want to make sure that we democratize the opportunity to build things like that, right? And simplifying that technology. Again, I'm going to liken this to the cloud or other innovations that have happened over time, where it used to be really difficult. Think about the first website you ever built, right? You had to know some code to do that. Right? Now there's website builders everywhere. You don't have to know anything about how the web works to have a beautiful website with a forum and a community. So AI is going there, and so your creativity is unleashed then. Like those are scenarios that are awesome, right? I'd probably do one on sauces because I like to cook. And I'm Buddhist, so maybe, meditation things or what have you. But the bottom line is your own personal interest, your own creativity, your own professional, special sauce that you bring to the table. These are knowledge repositories. In Microsoft, we call that, corporate data, right? And so every organization has their own data. And so the whole purpose of Copilot is that you can build those sorts of things with Copilot Studio, but it's in the boundary of your own company. Because what everybody should also be thinking about, besides creativity and productivity, is data security and governance, right? That's foundational from a company and a business leader perspective, right? But those are the kinds of things that have changed, my life as well. But also, I have to say, I built one on everything I've ever written, everything I've ever recorded, all of the knowledge, and I write the Microsoft 365 adoption framework. I teach that all the time. And you have no idea how many people inside Microsoft come to me because their customers are stuck, and they're like, Karuana, what should I do? So it's a what would Karuana do bot, right? And that is actually super helpful. I made it as kind of a joke because I don't have enough time to respond to all these things, but actually it's pretty useful. And to think about the way that I can then take that content and localize it in other people's languages so easily. Yeah. Right? So localization and accessibility are two things that we have to really think about as we think about these AI experiences, right? English is not the primary language for most of the world. It might be secondary. And if you're teaching or learning or creating connection with people like we do in community, how much better to do that in that person's native language, right? There's so many tools that are coming, and some I just saw the other day from ourselves and other players to be able to take that video and localize it with that particular person's voice and more.
I guess the one thing I also want to say too is I'm not technical at all. So these things that I made are just being powered by off-the-shelf tools and startups that make it as easy to create some of these bots as it is to, honestly, probably easier to create these bots than it is to create a website through Wix or any of these other sort of website builders. It's actually that simple. What's difficult is the creativity you have around the type of experience you want to architect. And that's why I'm super excited about the world we're in right now, because it gives non-technical, more creative thinkers these superpowers to build in a way that's never been before possible.
How can AI, from your perspective, positively impact community people?
Well, I really think that community leaders need to own the narrative of the power that we have in creating connection and brand loyalty and engagement. And to do that requires time and knowledge. And so these AI tools can give us greater opportunity and productivity to make those connections with people, right? the AI bot that I created to answer questions is not the same as me actually going to that customer and looking them in the eye and engaging with them, right? And so we have a special sauce as community builders. But for me to be able to manage a community at scale with my partners in marketing, I sit in engineering and in the product making side of the business, and I work with my marketing partners. We need insights. We need sentiment. We need to know what are the real issues that are plaguing the community on and offline in our forums and events. And so being able to use these tools to get answers and also allow the interface to really help me come up with creative solutions. Right? Like I have a bag of tricks I've developed over 30 years. Yes, of course I do. But why not use AI to say, hey, these are my top 5 issues in the community. What would you do to increase sentiment by 4%? What would you do to address the issue of people not understanding the learning paths, right? And getting that, and it's just this conversation I now get to have with somebody who has a command of knowledge that's far greater than my own. Right? And using that to my own best interests and to that best interest of my community. And my team members, right? My team members are spectacular. I have the best team, and they are so passionate and dedicated that they will work themselves too hard. I'm constantly on them about work-life balance, right? You have to take time out and take a vacation and stare at the ceiling. But if I can help them understand how to get more productive time or creative time in their day so that they can unplug and recharge, then that is really good from a management and leadership perspective to help them do great work.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time last year trying to be objective and sort of going back in time and saying, if I had the AI tools that existed today when I started building my community, would I have even needed to exist? What would our early team of 3 people have done in the garage? And I've talked to them about it too, and I've talked to the people that were, that we first started working with our community before it grew and scaled. And the sort of resounding feedback is that, I don't think, no one believes that AI would have created our community and the glue that existed inside of Startup Grind or exists. Like, it was really about the people, and community is all about the people. And I don't think, the sort of reassuring thing is like, hey, I am needed, I am valued.
Yes.
But we could have, there is also resounding feedback that rather than us staying up all night through the night and doing things in all sorts of time zones, the localization stuff, literally manually posting things all over the web. And we just sat there till 12, 1, 2 in the morning sometimes, week after week after week. And it seems kind of comical that we did that now, considering what's available. So I think for me with my teams, what I say is like, look, how do we put incentives inside the team to create new ways to do things, to bring AI into the work that we're doing? I don't want anyone to work 1 single minute longer than they're already working. That is, if you have to work more, then like throw it out the window. I don't want anything to. I don't even want to hear about it. But there are these things that are making us so much more efficient, so much smarter in such faster times that it feels like in the very near future, if you're not using these things, then you start to get behind.
Yeah, and I would say with regards to how AI is going to affect community, well, first off, I think this is the overall experience of community. It's very spiritual. It's like it's humans coming together, whether it's in a room or virtually, to connect, learn, build with one another over some common purpose. And and you all as community leaders, like, there is a real responsibility around what you're doing to actually set the tone, set the guidelines, create the environment where that flourishes, that grows, and every participant in that community gets the most out of that spiritual experience. And a magical thing about AI is that it's so powerful, and you all as community leaders have the ability to leverage it for exactly that outcome and those goals. And there are many ways in which you can do that. That may seem counterintuitive because there could be an example of, okay, there is a large forum of our community users where lots of discussions happening around how to solve certain problems, troubleshoot certain things. And the current experience right now is, by the way, it's all based online, it's all technical, so you're already embracing technology to even have a community forum. But think about there being this dynamic where someone has to like scroll through some like threads and buried somewhere some answer that may in some facet get to what you're looking for. AI should be able to quickly identify if you have a question, is someone in the forum actually answered it? Who are they? Allow you to connect with them to create even a deeper bond, and then maybe even have the ability to contextualize an answer in a
Yeah, you're maybe not even in the right place. There's this and this happening in other places, and it's really, really smart.
And so it's routing. It's routing.
And there's a virtual event happening right now talking about this subject, or there's
that you should be going to.
You should jump into.
There's one other thing I want to say too, which is I'm super lucky at Microsoft that the president of collaborative apps and platforms understands community. He's a huge supporter, and that has been transformative for my career and the team that I run. But there's plenty of other executives who don't understand the spiritual and essential nature of community. AI can help them do that, right? What they do understand is it's important to have cool things happening with AI. So when you come to them and say, hey, we're really investigating how AI is going to help us, have our communities be even more effective and impactful in whatever metrics you happen to track and ones that they care about. And by the way, I created an AI experience for you so that you can use the community knowledge that is there for you as you're making strategic decisions. And this is your personal community experience, right? That's a big deal, right? That's a big deal because at any time you can have another executive in your organization get it, like have their own aha moment, not about AI, but about community, then that is an important thing. And I think we can own the narrative there and have that brand management mindset when it comes to AI in our communities with those executives that need to really understand what this is all about.
Yeah.
I'd say one really powerful thing about AI is that it does a really good job at managing large volumes of unstructured data. And if you think about community, the conversations that happen, whether it be in real life, virtually, online, it's just massive, massive, massive amounts of unstructured data that if you're trying to give to senior execs or even like leverage for yourself, it's just like, it's overwhelming. You don't know what's in there. So leveraging AI to extract all the insights and make sense of it in a manner that then starts creating value, it's like gold because this is also like these are users en masse. These are customers en masse. And to get a sense to tap into the voice of the customer, the voice of the user, and like lightning speed, like there's no other probably data source that I can think of that exists out maybe like Zendesk tickets or things like that has all the information.
Yeah, I think this is something that I've really learned talking to you about it, Kobie, as you've really, studied and, as you said, gone down the rabbit hole with it, is we sit on maybe the most important data in our company. It's not recognized as that in most cases, but I mean, this incredible wealth of information, and it's constantly getting smarter and better and deeper, and I'm really optimistic that actually AI, I mean, one of the things I feel somewhat responsible for not doing is helping great community teams. During the last couple of years, we saw so many amazing community professionals lose their roles. And not only the community professionals, the entire teams. And these were teams doing amazing things. Like, I'm not talking about like the fringe people, I'm talking about like some of the best teams completely gone. And I'm sitting there like, boy, we must have done such a terrible job at helping these teams prove the ROI, because I'm sitting where I'm sitting and seeing their data and like, this is incredible. And I'm really optimistic actually that AI really can do what you're saying, that it can help the executives that aren't maybe at Microsoft or the Salesforce of the world or some of these other companies that really, really get community, but maybe it'll start waking people up to how valuable the work that we're doing finally is.
But there's one other piece of that, and anytime somebody comes to me and says that I need to prove the ROI of community, I say that very sentence, in my world anyway, it means you don't really understand what we do. And so I don't like that phrase. And I don't think we should embrace that phrase at this stage in our career development. I think we have to be talking about the voice of the customer, because the voice of the customer is also better understood in many organizations, and community signals are a part of that, along with support signals, along with sales feedback, pre-sales, post-sales, all of these things. We are another valuable signal. So when someone in Microsoft says to me, oh, we have all the customer signals, I say, do you have signals from the community, both public and private? And they say no. And I say, then you don't have all the signals, right? And I think that is a way also to change this conversation, because we've been having the ROI of community conversation for the whole time I've been in it, the whole 25 years or whatever. And it never really lands, right? And so I feel like now's the time to shift and pivot, right? To have a different conversation. We are a signal about the customer experience. We are part of the customer journey, right? There's lots of conversations about improving the customer journey, and we are a part of that. And so, I don't have to be the top of that umbrella, but I do need to be a part of that so that people are having a full picture. I think that also helps, at least that's what, our team has done, to protect the amazing team that I have. I mean, we had cuts inside Microsoft as well, right? And I was blessed to not be a part of that. But I think part of it is also because of the narrative and the OKRs that I've taken and the way that I talk about this, and also the way we diversified the team. Right? My team does not do just community. We do feedback analysis, and we do event production, and we're content creators, and we're product managers. And so that was also by design in the job and the team that I created, to also kind of put that protective bubble around us, because these people are precious. My community managers are the most precious people I've ever had the privilege to manage. They are so talented and smart, and I want to make sure that they are safe as much as possible, right? And so having that diversification has been important for us.
The one thing I'd say with regards to the value of the data that's flowing through all the communities here and community in general, just like if you take a step back, understand how a lot of these foundational models are built and what they're built off of. They're built off of a lot of community data that's just been stolen. Think about it, and now they're paying for it. Like, there's a reason why Reddit is able to monetize their community data so much and send it to OpenAI and all these other foundational models, because it's gold. And so, like, you're sitting on all this gold, that there's a moment right now that leveraging the power of AI, but have it serve your community, not someone else, but actually serve and feedback your community. You're going to create this amazing virtuous cycle where you become, and your organization becomes, a beneficiary of all the valuable data that all the people in this room are responsible for creating. And that's why I think it's a really incredible moment right now.
And it's an awesome opportunity to be able to also talk about conversion rates, right? One of the other things that we've done in our communities is make sure that we're measuring the conversion rates of people in our community to things like events and learning pathways and what have you. I don't think we think often enough about the top line of our communities as if it was a revenue stream, right? We don't always apply the same business logic, because we are spiritual, connective people, right? And that's a little bit, outside our nature. But I think it's really important to do that, because again, for me, I don't do that because it's great for Microsoft's top line. For me, it's a bit selfish. I want to protect my team and its great work. So I need to use the language of other people who don't understand community to be able to put it on their radar in a positive way.
I just some quick stats, and would love to get your feedback on if you believe this or not. Some stats I've read recently from someone that's leading in the field is that that AI over the next 2.5 years is going to get the costs are going to go down by 10x. Over the next year, the models will improve by 40x. Over the next year after that, models will improve by 40x, which means within 2.5 years, you could have 1,000x more powerful AI tools than exist today at a 10x cheaper cost. And the other thing is, in the last couple of months, I've had about 40 hours with the people in this room, and talking to and learning about what they're doing about AI. And the major takeaway I had from those sessions was that we are still way in the front, and it sometimes feels like, man, there's so much already happening, and I'm so far behind. But actually, almost no one I spoke with is really, one of the questions I always ask is like, what are the execs asking you and telling you? It still hasn't permeated down to us yet, and I think this feels like really a moment for us to drive it up in sort of in the ways that you are saying, but validate some of that. Is AI, could it be 1,000x what it is today in the next 2 or 3 years? Is the cost coming down in a way that's going to make it really efficient for us to use it and leverage it? Karuana, what does Microsoft say?
I agree with that. I think some of the models are actually underperforming, and it depends on who you listen to. I think the ubiquitousness of this technology, we really can't envision yet. You can't really compare it to cloud or personal computing or Wi-Fi because it's growing so much more quickly, right? And the availability is so much more fast throughout all of us. And so, now is the time for us to really come together as leaders in AI and start to think of ourselves in that way, right? We really are, and we're such essential leadership perspective because we sit at the intersection of these technologies and people, right? And so we can also ensure a positive direction for that growth. So yes, I absolutely think that that's true. I think we need to own that narrative. So much great work happening and highlighting the great work of people who are thinking about this. I just launched a new page on that just the other day, and because I really want to highlight that work and have people own that identity of being a leader in AI, which, by the way, is not something I would have even remotely thought about myself, 14 months ago. It's crazy, right? So it's been quite a journey, and I just want to help others on it.
Yeah, I would echo that. I mean, this is exponential technology. It's growing at a level that's just absolutely crazy. It's 1,000. I don't know how many X. It's more X's than I fully understand and my brain can comprehend. So, and then in terms of the actual cost to run all this, yes, it's going down dramatically too. And for me, the way I perceive it is that like you just gotta jump in now and realize that like this is not like a piece of technology or category that's so far ahead. We're like, oh, like it's over, so I'm just gonna like stay on the sidelines. Like no, like our life is going to fundamentally change as we know it as a society because of this enabling technology. And what I was encouraged is find how it relates to you in terms of how you do your job or how you just live life, and do it in a manner that makes your work that much more productive and your life that much more enjoyable. And that needs to be with true authenticity. And if you do that, then like, yeah, it's amazing. Like you can bend AI to your will because it literally is a piece of technology with superhuman capabilities that if you layer into your life will in turn create superhuman capabilities in you.
And the really, I mean, just reiterating this again and again, I think, we sometimes downplay the work that we do, or people around us downplay the work that we do. But I mean, like we are sitting at the front of the gold mine, and people inside of our organizations and outside need access to this data. We have our customers getting access to the gold via the search engines and via our community sites. And we have people internally maybe coming in as you do, Karuana, with getting the feedback from the back. Are we taking advantage of all the different ways that people can mine that gold? Are we getting them to the place as fast as we can? But this feels like, I know it hasn't yet, but I think we could really turn this in as an industry, as a moment of like, community is one of the best accelerants from AI, and that doesn't, and we are the people that need to help make that happen. We're critical for that.
No, I just want to say one thing. I feel like it's really important for everyone in this room, educate away your anxiety about AI. There's so much fear about it in our particular industry, in lots of industries from your executives. The more knowledge you have about it by listening to smart people like these will enable you to speak about it from a place of curiosity and excitement and enthusiasm, and using it to be of service to our communities, not fear. Right? Fear is the thing right now that I feel like is a blocker for many people's learning about this subject. And they're not really seeing the business opportunity because they're afraid of it, right? And I said backstage, if one more person says the word Skynet to me again, right? Like, okay, but everybody's understanding of AI comes out of sci-fi movies. That's not where we are right now, right? And so what we need to do is be really educated, and all of you can lead that in your organizations, and it'll be so helpful.
And the one thing I was going to say is, like I said earlier, I create this thing, like this hive brain. I mean, like, the hive brain is literally just a bunch of brains I put together, and it's like, it wasn't my name. Someone named it hive brain a couple days ago, and I kind of like that.
That sounds good to me. I think it's cool.
It sounds pretty good, but like as community leaders,
Give us access to your hive brain, Kobie.
I know, right?
But like literally, like everyone here is building hives of community. Like these are hives. These are collections of people, and so like, and you have all the honey, and so like that being I mean. Anyway, that being converted for AI, all right, I got away with it. But what I'd say in essence, like, you're building and bringing humans together that are creating incredible power, and AI is a moment that actually I think gives everyone in this room orders of magnitude more power than they had before.
Kobie, Karuana, thank you so much. Let's give it up for him. Thank you.
Thank you.